Hello, and welcome to the Sacred Startups podcast, a research and development project to build an ecosystem for ventures to solve for human consciousness. And this is Shashi, your host for the episode today. Today, we're going to be sitting and talking to the Unalome Project. Navigating the complex journey of self discovery coming from different philosophies, different backgrounds can be so confusing. Sneha and Shaurya, the founders of the Unalome Project, are working to offer a solution, a customized path that really works for you. They're borrowing inspiration from global philosophies, ancient wisdom, movement arts, and even cinema to guide you towards your self realization. Join us in this episode as we unpack their story on how they go about doing what they do, on their philosophies behind the work, and how long they've been doing it. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you do, leave us a comment and share it with the people that you love. Enjoy. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Shashi.
Now, just starting off with a way that sort of tells the world that we've never met before.
Yes.
It's a little bit of extra excitement. We know we've met before. How are you guys?
Doing
Yeah,
good,
doing
doing
well.
wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, nice. So you know what Sacred Startups is trying to do, but for the benefit of people who might be watching this episode in isolation,
Hmm.
Sacred Startups, essentially trying to sort of, it's a research project trying to tell the world a story, which is let's sort of build an entrepreneurship ecosystem for consciousness. Like how we have entrepreneurs in the world of consumption, I believe people like you guys are entrepreneurs of the world of consciousness. So maybe some people see themselves that way, maybe some people don't. But, the idea is to sort of try and see if we can put that as a point of view in ourselves and also to the world outside. And this is all about this particular episode is really really dear to my heart. Something that I want to sort of go back into my own experience and see how can I sort of in retrospect learn from what you guys are going to say and fit that into my story and see if it could have been different, right? So, yeah. Why don't we start with a round of introductions? In the spirit of having women go first, Sneha, would you like to go first?
Sure, definitely. So, hello everyone. My name is Sneha, and I am the CEO of Unalome Project. We have been working in the realms of, working with human beings and what they truly want to achieve in their, life. And apart from, the goals which are set already, like, your jobs and everything, but really about your joy, your bliss, your happiness, your relationships. So that's the work we've been doing over 7 years, and I particularly, host circles for women, groups of women for over last about 4 years, and yeah, that's been the work.
Oh, you're quite famous, by the way, here in Oroville.
Really?
Yeah, I met a couple of people who were curious to know about my meeting with you guys. And like, oh, do you met those guys? Did you meet Sneha? These guys are doing some great work. I said, yeah, I know, I did. I did. And yeah, there you go. You've got fans.
Oh, wow, lovely to know.
Sure, it will come, man.
Yes. So this is Shaurya Singh, and uh, looking at things that have happened in the through this whatever things that have come together, things that have worked out, things that have been designed in some way, and things that have just accidentally, just popped up from somewhere. Yeah. And the work really, as I see it, is carrying forward a conversation that's been had for time immemorial, ever since we got caught up in language, describing the world through language. Through language also, we needed to find a way out of the mess that we created. And so this is that same conversation that continues. It just happens to be me, us right now. uh, but it's been had everywhere, through history, all over the world, and it shall continue to be had. So nothing can, stop it, end it, or or claim to be, the chief of it, or the torch bearer or whatever. None of that. Yeah, it's just that this is the conversation that needs to be had when one wants to break free. Yeah.
And that's Shaurya for us playing humble and not giving us an introduction.
Yeah, that's the introduction, because the moment I
Okay,
start to
I'll
go
give the
into.
introduction. I'll give the introduction. Shaurya Singh, co-founder at Unalome Project, been a lifetime learner, has been the guide in a lot of people's lives in their seeking journeys, has built a beautiful collective, a community along with his partner Sneha, and runs Unalome Project. Basically, being a guide, I guess, to people who want to seek. Comes from theater background, comes from communication background, which I don't think one needs to explain in the way he speaks. And I guess many more as we go into this conversation, we'll understand.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So that's Shaurya Singh for us. Okay.
Thank you.
Listen, guys, I'm really, excited to have this conversation with you guys. I know we've had a set once. That was a very free flowing conversation. We touched a lot of different things in that conversation, but this in specific gives me an opportunity to go deep into something that's very personal to me, and at the same time something so unique from a point of view, right? And that being, there are so many gates to enter into self discovery, or in this case, let's say self realization. There are so many paths to it. It can happen spontaneously, it can happen with a lot of intent, it can happen, it was probably always on, but the realization happens much, much later, which I think mostly is the case for everyone. My quest through sacred startups, one of the agendas is how do we sort of try and add a sort of a filter, if you may call it, or some kind of a method to the madness of seeking, by saying, okay, who are you? What are you drawn to? What is talking to you? It doesn't matter which faith you come from, which culture you come from, which religion you come from, what color, race, gender. But there are archetypes that are working in a lot of us. And these archetypes, I'm guessing, can be somehow, if not 100% to whatever extent that you can, help people in cutting down time, right, that is taken in order for self discovery, or self realization, if I remember, because I feel like this is one of the problems that needs to be solved, is because I am seeing the way things are operating in the world right now. A lot of people are perpetually on a seeking path, and also the system unfortunately is keeping them on that path for whatever benefits. I mean, we know what the benefits are, and I don't want to state it, right, because I don't want to simply be the guy who calls out loud. I'm sure it's already there, everybody knows, it's the elephant in the room. But the idea here is, with the help of maybe systems thinking, better sort of structuring of the philosophy and technology, whatever that is, to try and make this a easier process, right? First of all, let me ask, is it even possible?
Yes, absolutely. So, taking off from what you were just saying, and I'm not afraid to call out. So, the problem is that firstly, we have to look at what is my question. Am I looking for, trying to solve my life through spirituality, which was in the past that, you break a coconut at the temple and you'll get a better job? Yeah, that same thing I'm applying right now. Yeah, that I want peace, I want love, I want harmony, I want compassion. These are byproducts of something. These are byproducts of the realization of the self. But if I make a product, this is your heart chakra opening and you're being going to be compassionate, then I'm chasing a goal which is going to keep me in the loop, because I have not arrived at the source of compassion, I have not arrived at the source of love, at the source of bliss. I'm trying to put that on top of my shitty life, like putting whipped cream on top of a pile of garbage and saying, wow, this is a beautiful cake. Yeah, and that's the problem that's going on. So like what you said, why are people chasing? Because what is it that you're looking for? And until I'm clear about that, do I want to be free? Is there that desire to be free, like it said in the ancient texts as well, that it's firstly the student, right? The guru could be anybody. As a student, are you really with that fire that, yeah, that's it, I'm getting out of, whatever this prison that I'm trapped in, I need out.
If I may add something to this, it's a very
Absolutely.
interesting point. I just want to sort of provide another context to this. I mean, mind you, I'm also coming from a lot of personal lived experiences and also by talking to a lot
Sure.
of people.
Yes.
I think I sort of want to take a step back, if I may, and say, why do you feel like something's not working out for you in your life, right? Why do you need to even go on a path of self discovery? Because I feel that a lot of people are struggling to identify what a burnout is, what a trauma is, what pain is, what does failure mean, because failure is mostly associated with luck today in the world. It may also be that the failure is coming from a place of you not doing the things that you are meant to do or what you're good at doing, what you're very, something that you have innately as a gift that you need to identify and put that to action. There is this herd mentality of everybody wanting to go out and do something. I come from a startup world. I sort of understand that mentality quite a bit, and which is also something that is driving the world to a large extent in terms of behavior today. Which is, if some friend of mine has gone out and started something in a particular field, which is, let's say in this case, e-commerce, everybody out of FOMO want to go and do the same thing because there is money to be made in it, right? For all you know, you might be cut out to do something else. I don't know, maybe build temples, like carve statues. Who knows? I don't know. Like, so how do you, from your, because you have spoken to a lot of people, I have seen my life, right, and a few other lives of mine who have been able to get some information from, but you guys are talking constantly with a lot of people and helping them in their journey. From your perspective, what are those few markers that you have learned that you can say, hey, these are the 3 or 4 things if that is happening in your life, which means you need to take a pause and get on a seeking path because something is not working out for you. Save time, save energy, save resources, get quickly to a place where you can understand who you are, and then optimize all of that understanding to become the human that you are meant to be, or the human that you will give you the maximum happiness so you can continue to enjoy the remainings of your remaining time in your life in a happy way, right? That's the ultimate goal here.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And so, firstly, we need to look at where this dissatisfaction is coming from. So, this dissatisfaction is basically coming from this mainstream narrative, which, like you said, is constantly enforcing comparison. My worth is only in comparison to somebody else. How do I know I'm successful? Because so and so did this or so and so does that. Yeah, and this is constantly reinforced. So we are living in a time where we are constantly being pushed towards personal fame and success. Without that, you have no value. If you don't have personal fame, your number of followers, right? How many followers do you have? That's the conversation constantly, whether you like it or not. We are being judged, and we judge ourselves through that. As long as this is the place where we are coming from, we are going to face dissatisfaction, because it's like a classroom of kids where you tell them that one of you is going to be first, and several of you are going to be failing. Now go and be friends. Yeah, so you've set a game which is basically competitive, which is basically, and now there's no space for collaboration to really occur. And that's the world we are living in. We are constantly pulling each other down so that I can climb higher. Yeah, and then I feel isolated, I feel lonely. So those are the signs. The signs are: you feel lonely, you feel isolated, you have friends but there's no connection, you have a spouse but you want to run away, you're doing work but it's just exhausting you.
There's this beautiful book that I came across called Sacred Economics that also sort of inspired me, to call this work that I'm doing as Sacred Startups. And in that, Charles Eisenstein, a beautiful thinker and an author and a philosopher, he talks about this thing which says all essential human what it took to sort of feel human connection with each other in the society has now all been turned into opportunities for monetization, right? Which is means that we have now even turned having a good experience with a friend into a monetizable experience. I mean, have products like OnlyFans, Instagrams, Facebooks, and all of this, which is basically monetizing the feeling that you would get when you had a good conversation or a good sitting with a friend, right? So I hear you. Sneha, I might sound a bit condescending here, but I have to put on this hat for now because I think it is important for me to sort of try and go down that path, which is, as men, we are conditioned to look at the world in a certain way, right? Let's say in this case, what Shaurya was talking about, that being of constant comparison and having to always outrun or rather outsmart the other, and try to sort of get validation in the society. Let's say if you're representing, this is the closest that I can get to, right? So if you're representing the other, in this case, let's say the feminine, what is the driving force? What is happening in that world which is getting people off their center, off their balance? That will push them to say, okay, no, I now need to see these are the three, four things that are happening to me, which means there's something fundamentally wrong. It could be relationships, it could be work centric, it could be passion, it could be so many different things. Because I feel that maybe the complication for the women folk might be a lot higher than compared to men, because I feel you are already being constrained in so many different ways in the society, right? What you can do, what you can't do. So the path to the center and self-realization might be harder because of lack of freedom for a woman in comparison to a man. Am I wrong in my point of view, or am I right? If I am, then can you walk me through what are those points from your experience, or rather your experience of doing this work?
Yeah, sure. When it comes to this understanding, yes, the issues are different for men and women because, like you said, it is constrained. For men, there's a lot of different, but yes, it's not like that is working for them as well, which I'll get to it probably later. But in the realms of this understanding for what is happening with women today and how they're even coming to this realization, it's very simple. Almost everyone has experiencing health issues, relationship issues, and no peace of mind. So it's like it's very inevitable. So that, and women are experiencing this in a way more because in retrospect, how a feminine is, the kind of qualities a feminine has, right, those are not able to have their fullest expression in the modern world, in a sense, in the, in the structural world. So those are naturally getting suppressed. Over there it is a very like a patriarchal force, where it is about, like, mentioned earlier, competition, and I have to get better, climb the ladder, independence. So there are these lot of other associations which have happened, which feels good, like we do need our independence, women do need that, but it is not with that attitude. It's not with the masculine force, it's with the feminine force, you know so because it's becoming so masculine and that driven, it's affecting them in all aspects. Relationships is like the most, in fact, now it's become more like, choosing your independence, being single, or like divorcing easily has become like, okay, like just another thing. So yes, it's affected, everybody in all sorts of ways.
Yeah, and this sort of sets us up as a context to what we are going to be now trying to explore in this conversation, right? So, which is, there are a few areas where we all have gotten away from our center, and now the path is to, when you go away from your center, you will start to feel a lot, right? I mean, there are some clear behavioral changes, and at the same time, things that are not working out for you means there is something off there. It's not because you're unlucky, or it's not because you're not skilled enough, or you're not gifted enough, you're not talented enough. It's mostly because you're not optimizing your strengths to the point where you can get the best out of yourself. So, having said that, now let's get into, how are you guys solving this at the Unalome project? I know you guys have developed certain frameworks. We had a bit of a conversation about it last time when we spoke. So, Sneha, you warmed up. You want to go?
Yeah, sure. So at Unalome Project, we have very unique, you can say journeys or voyages. It caters to different people seeking different things. But our ultimate, aim or like reaching is finally about removing the things that come in the way of your, original state or your peace, basically. And for that, yes, we have different workshops that we, get people to experience. And for with each workshop that we do, we've really, like, put in all the efforts of, like Shaurya really does this work. It's about coming from all different aspects of, not just, like ancient wisdom, philosophy, all of that combined together. And again, like, we have like several different categories of people, that different people wanting to seek differently. And it's really through communication we kind of understand where they're at. We have, like, processes where what are they seeking, we are able to let them know, okay, okay, this is what can probably work the best for you, or you should take it on. But honestly, like, the kind of the what do you say, the work and what it has resulted in, it's like a foundational, at the foundational level of a human being, because after this work, like especially the core work, you are completely a different person. And in that sense, it's like, what I'm trying to say is, like, the unlearning, we've learned in a certain way, right? We've learned all these years through our experiences, through our schoolings, through our structures, through everything. But does anyone get this moment or this opportunity in life where you can say, I'm completely ready to dissolve this and become a entirely new person, which is not based necessarily on my past, you know traumas or pains or anything, completely creating something new? Is that
So, what
possible?
is
Because
the
most.
time when people come to you? Do people come to you when they already have realized that they need to now get on a path of self discovery? Or are there ways for people to discover the fact that I need to now go check something out because something's not working? What's been your experience so far?
All, again, a variety of different understandings. So people have come with that key, I'm not able to sleep, I have too much anxiety. People
Yeah.
have come with I'm not motivated, and, like, I don't understand what's going on. Some people have had extremely traumatic relationships, and relationships are mainly with your closed ones, right? So yeah, those kind of issues.
So it's mostly
And
reactionary, no? It's always been
yes,
very reactionary. So
yes.
do you think, Shaurya, maybe you can sort of also try and chime into this. Do you think it is possible to create an environment of proactive healing? Because my effort in all of this is to try and see, like say you got ikigai,
Right.
right? That's sort of an example. Ikigai gives you, it sort of got viral. People are putting ikigai onto their lives and, sort of figuring out who they are and whatnot.
Yes.
Similar to that, is it possible to also create tools like that for proactive healing?
Absolutely. So it all comes down to values. Yeah. So like you were talking about, why I might have certain skills, certain talents, but I'm never going to be able to put them to use in the way they probably, I might be a good communicator, but that might become a way that I manipulate rather than in a way that I can express myself. Yeah. What changes is values, and like what Sneha just said, that what is this newness that we are talking about? It is living life according to values that you choose, not the values that you've been conditioned with or which society is telling you that you should have. Like the values of today are convenience, right? If convenience is my value, it I'm never going to be able to learn how to really play a musical instrument properly. I'll never be able to master something if convenience is a value that's driving me. Whereas if mastery is a value that's driving me, the whole game shifts. But I'm not able to do this. I don't know where my values are. I've never looked, I've never done this self reflection to really see what is driving my behavior. I want to change behaviors. I want to be better with my wife. I want to be nicer with my children. I want to be more, more, contribute more to the world. Whatever. I have these dreams, aspirations, intentions, and I want all this. But I've never looked at what's driving me. What are the values? What is the belief system? So what we are doing here is not propagating some kind of technique, right? Because when you talk about technique, it finally will come down to my kung fu is better than yours. Yeah. And then it's the same thing what what all the wars and all the conflicts always been about, my belief system versus yours. But
I
when,
think it's not even for me. I think we are stepping into a world where science is meeting spirituality, right? Which means the conversation is not about the belief and faith, but about results.
yes,
Also
yes,
about critical thinking, also
yes,
about structuring thoughts, communicating better, because the philosophy can only give us a foundation of how to sort of look at something that's not working, but it's also our responsibility to take that and make something of it and make them present, right?
yes,
So yeah, obviously the effort here, I loud and clear understood that the effort is not to talk about why my thinking is better than your thinking or vice versa. The attempt here is to go on a discovery or a journey to see how are you guys thinking about it.
yes,
Is there a way for us to collectively maybe alter the way things are done, or also maybe introduce new thinking to this? I don't know what it is, right? That's the discovery I am on,
yes.
anyways. So, putting that as a qualifier, right? How do you guys really do? How are you thinking about your systems and your frameworks? I know you guys have a few things. I don't know how much
Yes.
you can share about it openly. I'm completely okay if you don't want to completely share it. Whatever you can share, your thinking, first principles, structure, whatever.
Yes, so primarily the focus is on unlearning. Yeah, and this unlearning can happen through a deeper questioning. So, when we start the inner journey, the first step is to really start to reflect: where am I coming from? What are my beliefs? What are my values? What is driving my behavior? What is it that I truly want? And through this reflection we start to really see for ourselves. Again, it's not like, we're going to point out to you that this is wrong and this is right, don't think this way and don't think that way. But taking, let's say, a subject of morality, where is morality coming from? Yeah, how do I know something is right and something is wrong, especially when it comes down to relationships? Because in my stories that I tell myself about myself, I'm always right. Yeah, so what is really driving this right wrong thing, and is there something beyond that? And it's through this questioning, Shashi, it's really the questioning that gets you to where you need to go. But the courage to have, the going all the way. Buddha says, you either, don't start or you don't go all the way. These are the two mistakes that one can make. Most people
Yeah,
start. Yeah, of course there are things that we get caught up in. Yeah, we can get caught up in this reflection itself. So, these your self improvement and self development books, self help, right? And you can that can become a whole circuit in itself, and you just keep going round and round and round, because each one makes you feel that, maybe I am doing something wrong and not getting it. So maybe the next, version 2 or the next edition will have some secret that's going to open something for me.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's an addiction again. So a lot of these things are taking us away from that single pointed focus as to really that I want to resolve all this shit once and for all.
Yeah, I think that's the word, right? And the double clicking on that is once and for all.
Yes,
Because if I am going to get on a path, I am not going to get out of it till I have resolved this,
yes,
right? It's if you don't have that courage, if you don't have that rigor,
yes,
then you will constantly keep going back into the loop, because the the immediate and the world that we live in is all designed for instant gratification, right? I mean, you get quick dopamine
yes,
hits, you get quick sort of happiness in a pub or a bar after a hard day's at work, and all of these little things. I'm not judging anybody's behavior, or it's just the way it is. I mean, we've all been there. We've all
yes,
passed through that path, right, to come to this
yes.
point and then have that enough data to talk about it. So yeah, I think once and for all is very, very important. Any points, Sneha? Any reactions?
Yeah, so the whole, when we talk about the issues that are going on, and finally, what are we looking at, right? We want want the whole planet to function in a more, you know, like interconnected, more compassionate way. If you really look at it, we would love that, right? We don't need wars, we don't need anything. And how is that actually to happen? It cannot happen until and unless an individual is putting in the effort to really look at their own shit, look at their own stuff. That what is it here? Because yes, we can all get angry because of the war that is going on. Everybody wants to talk about it, about the injustice, all of that. Yeah, but those are just reactions again to things that are happening right now in a structure which is not necessarily functional. So how does one actually take it in their own hands? Because everyone otherwise is just taken from somewhere else. But how do you wake yourself up to this and really make choices from that space? So this whole process that we are doing even at Unalome is about that. Like, can you become conscious fully within yourself, that it doesn't mean, because otherwise everything is a trend, right? Like, oh, I'm going to declutter, I'm going to be a minimalist, I'm going to be a vegan, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. It just is trend, 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 trend. But it's just at one layer, right? That's like you're practicing, you're putting yourself into a practice, that only then I'll be conscious. But if you are conscious, you'll naturally become conscious about your wastage of water, wastage of how you're using your plastic. What do you want to do? Someone's in pain, how do you, reach out to them? You're going to just naturally evoke. And if that happens and that quality comes in every single human, then it's like, yeah, most of the work is done. That's why, it's like said that, okay, it's not about going out there and preaching and telling things. It's really about look here, look within,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
make it happen, make that
And
change
then
within you.
that's the thing that I struggle with, the activist mindset in general, right, and that community as well, because the impact world that we are in today, most of it is focusing on solving the end result. With the saying that, okay, I want to go change the world. How are you going to change the world? I'm going to make it net zero. How are you going to make it net zero? Because the path to making net zero is the collective level of consciousness to go up in such a way that you develop a profound connection with nature, and then by design you will behave differently from the inside out, and then hopefully end up at the point of making the world a net zero place to be. So very, very interesting point that you mentioned, Sneha. Thanks for bringing that up. Which now makes me ask this question, right? Which is, now there is a point of, there are, like, the way I see this, step one, step two, step three, is that step one is the point of deep sleep, where you have no idea that you're sleeping, right? And the point two is about waking up. Waking up is the point when you realize, okay, you know what, I need to seek. One of the things that I strongly believed in, and which a lot of friends that I share it with, is, when you're in a seeking path, you have already woken up, because otherwise, you're not seeking to wake up. You've woken up, so you're seeking. So there's a huge difference. So you have to identify yourself as a different person the moment when you say, the first sign up that you do to a workshop or to a retreat or to a yoga class or to a meditation course, you have woken up already. So, but now the process is to staying awake. All of these things is to going deeper and deeper and deeper and staying awake. Now, staying awake can happen through multiple places, right? Staying awake can happen through the choice of actions that one decides to make in this world, which is now what I call as the point, step three, which is from self-realization to self-actualization, which is now I have understood a few things about myself. I've healed a few things about myself. Now, once when I've realized what my problems were, there is this profound waking up to this, like, oh my God, how many other people in this world are going through the same thing like me? Now, how do I come back and give it back to the world in some way or the other? Is a default process, and I think, right, which I see working in so many different meditation, designed in meditation groups and experiences. How does one understand, you know, self-actualization to begin with? Are there any frameworks? Are there any sort of processes around this that you guys have realized? And most importantly, is it possible for me to take my step two into my step three? Because my biggest challenge that I've come up with a lot of in this world is, I have woken up to certain reality that is one within myself. But when I now step out to face the world outside, there is a lot of conflicts in my belief systems and the way the world is functioning. And this is also one of the reasons why we're doing sacred startups, is because if we don't have an ecosystem where you can truly live the world what is like on the inside, on the outside, then it's a waste of time, because then obviously we have not solved the whole problem, right? You will have to, at some point in time or the other, be somebody on the inside and be somebody on the outside, and that's a shitty experience. So what is it like? How do we get to from self-realization to self-actualization? What are the ways? What are the ways to doing it?
So we need to start from where we are. Yeah. So like you said, this moment of this awakening, as to I'm starting to see that this is not working. Yeah. And that is really that point. Yeah. When I really see that this is not working, not trying to fix it in some way. Because if I'm still saying that, I'll do my, meditation for this thing so that something fixes on its own, no, there again, there's something that's being missed. So with this understanding that within these templates that we've been handed down, so we've been handed down templates of, father son, what it's going to be like, husband wife, what it's going to be like, all those templates we've been given. Within those templates there is no possibility of real connection ever occurring, because they are not built for that. They are built for a societal dynamic, for a, a smooth sailing, so to speak. You touch your dad's feet and everything is fine, that kind of a system. There's no real connection possible there. When that realization occurs is this point where I let go of the stuff that I've held on to, the story of myself that I've told myself. From there, like you rightly mentioned, this zone, this journey that I'm really taking on is self actualization. Yeah, it's not self realization in that sense. The realization is this, that I'm not all that stuff. Now what am I? Who am I going to be in this world? What is the role that I play? And that's a choice again. It's not necessary that I have to bring everybody in. I can choose to go into the Himalayas and live the rest of my life there, or just plow the fields and have a great life. So my uh, uh, going into the world and expressing something is the real journey, because there it takes a lot, especially now, in today's world where, like you said, there's so much distraction. To have something real to say and for somebody to be able to give attention to you more than 30 seconds is a big thing, right? So polishing that, getting better at that, uh, getting into the zone where I am defining who I am, my values, and then being authentic to that. That is the self actualization.
Yeah, even if it means saying no to a lot of things, I mean, you might have to say no to a lot of things, and I think that is where also the courage is needed. Sneha, one of the things that I've experienced as a feedback from a lot of friends of mine is that my immediate reaction is to fixing something, right? And some of the friends who are not men have told me it's a very male thing to do, right? To jump in and fix something. So even this question about self-realization to self-actualization itself could also be looked at as a very man question in a way, right? How does it apply? Is this true? If it is, how does this thing work out in the world of the feminine?
This particular thing, I think it's not like the feminine masculine. This, you can call this the masculine, the shadow masculine aspect, or like, okay, that need to do this, but that's not necessarily limited to just men. It's also there in women. So that particular thing which comes up, it's like, there is this need. Firstly, there is this need, innate need for a human to connect with another human, and if there is anyone in distress or something, yes, to give that. Yeah. So that automatically happens, but it's not like a feminine and a masculine necessary thing, I would say. It happens. It happens to everyone, and it would come under that whole thing of like, okay, now you're bringing, because I mean, it's not necessarily always coming from a place of wholeness. It's also coming from a place of that, like, I want to help. I want to help another, or I want to do that. It comes that way. And again, what happens is when this sort of an expression is given to friends and families and people, just like that, it's not really necessarily received in probably the wholeness of it. It's like, okay, someone giving me advice. That's where I would say it goes. And that advice thing never really works, because people are always kind of it's like just comes and goes. Okay, yeah, that kind of a thing. So I guess that's the way it's been received. And yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting point because I know maybe you guys can tell me how to sort of think about this, because I have this strange belief that if we get into the world of proactive healing, right, like how you look at bodily proactive fitness, right? I mean, you stay fit in order to keep your disease away. So if you go into the world of proactive healing, where you're constantly working to keep your inner world in a clean, healthy, fit way, a lot of challenges that sort of can be avoided. But the moment when you try to put that as a thing in front of the other people of the world or of your friends and the families, as you said, Sneha, there's a lot of resistance. And the common expression is, when they are ready, they will take it. When they are ready for it, they will receive it. You don't have to push down anything down people's throat. How do you compensate? How do you sort of consolidate this behavioral change that is needed for us to stay happy and healthy, and this resistance, some kind of a the free will resistance and the freedom resistance, or lack of it, or a misunderstanding of it, that comes from the world in general? Any How do we solve this? From, I mean, have you guys been able to solve it?
So again, we'll have to go back to ancient times, right? And especially in the Indian way of looking at things, the initial few years of a child growing up, yeah, were meant to be for this inquiry, for Atmagnana, for Brahmagyana. Yeah, this whole idea that first you establish yourself in your truth and then step out into the world of the grahastha, of the material world, of the householder, of doing whatever else. And Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita talks about this as well, the sthita prajna. So to establish yourself in your own truth and then perform action in the world. And if we put this as, sometime later, I'll do it when I get to it, when I have enough time, we've missed the point. Self actualization needs to be top priority. It's not once I resolve all the other in the Maslow's hierarchy. Once I've resolved everything, then I'll look at self actualization. It's never going to happen, because there's never going to be a point when you're going to say, I'm completely secure, I'm completely loved, I don't need any more love anymore, that box has been ticked, don't love me, I have enough. That's never going to happen. So or don't respect me, right? So when is it that you're going to take on this journey to yourself? If you've pushed it away, you've missed the point, because your experience of life right now is in 140p, whereas HD is available.
Yeah, I love the fact that you say this, and the reason why I get sort of excited is because there has been some thinking that I do around these areas as well. Because the Sacred Startups is an effort to address these things. The way I see it is, a lot of us are constantly optimized, for convenience and consumption and whatnot. Hence, the system is designed in such a way that you're solving problems for the world for consumption and for convenience. Um, you going out to that place and saying, "Hey, man, just come up with your self-realization index, and I'm going to give you a job," is going to be impossible, right? I mean, people don't give a shit about it. But in the entrepreneurship for consciousness, you can actually say, "Hey, man, if you want to work for me, tell me, what have you learned about yourself from a realization perspective? Tell me what you've learned about yourself from an actualization perspective, and how can this job or this investment that I want to make in your idea help you get to where you want to go in this world," right? So that's the attempt. Without a systemic change, most of it is only going to become preachy,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
And I think my effort in this world that I see is to be able to, mine as in Sacred Startups, I'm sorry, is to build that bridge between a prerequisite
Yes.
to a certain reality in this world of me investing in a company, or me helping a company survive and come to life, is through the path of self-realization index, in a way,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
Guys, we know we have the secret 9 steps, something that you guys do. I don't know how much you want to go into it.
Sure.
Secret 9 steps. Wow.
I know, Sneha, you do a lot around something during Navratri. And Shaurya, I know you had done a lot of thinking in the past about this framework, which seems to have definitely, what is your, like, what are tools that you have at your disposal, right? What all sort of things that you guys have that you bring to this sort of warfield, if I may call it, I know you do ancient wisdom. I know you do Sufism. You use, theater and expression and movement arts and stillness art. There's so many different things that you use to get to the point, right? Walk us through this. I mean, if the 9 steps story sort of helps us get to that place quickly, I would love to learn a little more about it.
Sure. No, we use every tool available, right? So everything possible is something that we are ready to explore, ready to look into, ready to, talk about, go into all of it. From whirling, yeah, to, like you said, theater, to art, to music. There's so many tools available, yet at the same time, not getting lost within that. There again, there's, a danger of, okay, whirling is the best way, or again, none of that. In fact, the whole idea of having so many things is that you never get stuck with one. Yeah, that you keep exploring.
And you
Again,
experience the same thing through all of these experiences, which means that you will soon realize that, okay, what I'm experiencing is the same. It doesn't matter which channel I'm taking.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. And in that, there's something that drops. Yeah, because the danger of meditation is that the moment I identify as become, now I'm a meditator, I'm better than you. Yeah, so it's
Superiority.
not about me doing something. In fact, it's losing myself within that. Like you mentioned earlier, that people are will go to a pub and have a drink to forget about how horrible the week has been. But what are they actually doing? They're actually wanting to get away from the gnawing that's going on in their head. Yeah, the story of themselves that they tell themselves. You go to a mountain, you jump off a bungee jump, you go snorkeling, you go to other places, or you watch a movie. When you're doing that, you're basically getting away from this can that's going on in the head. Yeah, but instead of just a temporary relief, why is it that you're chasing stress relief and not questioning why is stress occurring in the first place? What am I in conflict with? What is the friction? Because friction is stress, conflict is stress. Why are we not questioning that? Like you said, we all want to fix something. I want to fix the people in my life, little bit tweak and they'll be fine. But the moment you try and do that, they get riled up, and then you wonder what's going on. And then they
Yeah.
are trying to fix you in some way. You're trying to fix your life, you're trying to fix yourself. Is this fixing? Stop fixing. Stop this movement. Be here now in this moment, right here, fully present.
Yeah, like there is a sort of a thing that I've experienced, which is really, I love this experience, right? So there are things that you do. Let's say in this case, going to a pub to get a drink, right? Classic example, because that's what most of the people do in this world. Um, you can do that in two ways. One, you can say, I'm like really angry today. I'm frustrated. I feel like I need a drink. I need to go get a drink. Or being just conscious about the fact that I'm going to set aside a day in a couple of weeks once, or once in a month, or once in a week, whatever the frequency is, because I enjoy tasting beer. I love having a drink with my friends, because there is something that I'm experiencing in that place which I cannot experience anywhere else in this world, that turns every experience into a conscious experience in a way. If you have subconsciously drawn to jumping off the cliffs, and then you realize something like, why am I jumping off the cliffs? Maybe I'm trying to look for, I'm an adrenaline junkie, or whatever it is that you might call yourself. But if you pause at that point, and then there might be a transitionary period from doing it subconsciously, unconsciously, to consciously. When you start doing it consciously, you realize, oh my God, there is a profound experience of the nature that I'm getting out of, by jumping from away out of the cliffs, right? So I feel like that's the simplest switch.
Yes, that's a very
You know,
beautifully put point, Shashi. So, this is what we call context. I can go on meditating for 40 years and nothing's going to happen unless this context shifts.
it's a simple thing. It's a
Yes.
small way of adjusting how you look at every activity
Yes.
that you're doing. Because I have tried, and like it becomes preachy the moment when you say, "Hey, don't drink,
No, yeah,
don't eat
absolutely. We are
meat."
not against anything. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying you. I'm
Yeah.
just saying
Yeah.
in general
Yeah,
what
yes.
happens in the world,
Yes.
right? Even like we talked about touching, your elders' feet.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's a ritual if you just want to do it as a chore,
Yes.
but it's a beautiful experience when you understand the
Concept.
the importance behind it.
Yes.
or the kind of feeling that it is generating within yourself. It's all for yourself. It's not for the other person, though it's been designed like that, careful, very smartly.
Yes.
It's been, misconstrued as something as you giving respect to someone, but actually the respect is, induced
Yes.
within you for yourself and the
Absolutely.
action that you're taking. So it's about that switch. If we can
Yes.
use methods, technology, philosophy, sangha, whatever you can
Yeah.
use
Whatever.
in order
Yes.
to
Yes.
change that context, I feel
Yes.
like we can achieve mass
Yes.
awakening. I'm nothing to say these things, but this is just my wish, let's see if mass awakening is a
Totally on the same
possibility.
page. On the same page. Yeah. On
Oh,
the same page. And so what Sneha does, I'll give a little this thing intro, and then she can take it on. Is the Navratri festival, right? It has so much in it. You can go through the Navratri festival and not have any experience. But the way Sneha is, putting this program across, the 9 nights of the goddess program, is using that as archetypes, and to a modern mind that becomes then relatable, right? So you've caused that switch, and now to use it practically in your life, to really experience something, to embody something, not just do a aarti and light a diya and none of that. And you start to see how each one of these small small things are also tremendously powerful. And you have your motivational coaches who will tell you today that rituals are important if you want to build a new habit. Yeah. And then it starts to make sense. Oh yeah, this is why they did all these things.
Listen, this is being human. If a bus needs to have wheels to move, human society needs to have rituals in order to connect.
Yes.
So this is not about right or wrong. This is not about modern or ancient. This is just
Yes.
about what is needed to be human and to feel human. So over
Yes.
to you, Sneha. Sorry about
yeah.
that.
No, and exactly. And the thing is that these, right now, what's happening is that these rituals used to happen. Yeah. But we talk about today's modern individual, they do the rituals like an activity. There's no connection there, but it is done because it is to be done in a certain way. So that connection is completely missing. And like in the work at 9 nights of the goddess, the whole Navratri goddess journey, it's really connecting with the same understanding, but applied to us, to women right now. Like, what were these goddesses about? Why are these archetypes there? Why were they there? Why did the gods go to this goddess and say, please help us? Right? So what is that energy? What is that potent understanding that is there within oneself, which we have lost touch with? We are born absolute light, right? Nothing, no, nothing. We're born as nothing. But we have layered up into these weird, strange understandings. Some may be good, but a lot of them are totally not worth keeping it. So, through these understanding of different goddesses, it's like reverence and remembrance of who you truly are. And that this particular quality or this energy or this archetypal form is deep within you. And for men, women, alike. It's not separate. It's not like only women, and not men. In fact, there's so many. When I talk about Navratri, I think there are so many men who follow this tradition beautifully. So yeah, through this process and through this Navratri understanding, it's like what you get to be- come close to is to those forgotten parts of the self, those forgotten connections that, yes, you're so connected with nature and you've forgotten. And it's not just, you can't understand this just through the mind. You understand this, of course, everyone understands it through the mind, yeah. But to really feel it, to embody it, to allow that feminine to take over, allow that vulnerability to take over, be, yes, I'm a mess, accept, to be able to say it, to be able to accept it.
Also,
So
it's a
that,
tool, no? I mean, like, there are tools that we have developed in this world in so many different ways to solve a lot of problems. And in general, as well, I see these are beautiful tools for interpersonal value creation. If I am X wanting to be in a relationship or a partnership with a Y, I need to have tools. The only way those tools can come is when I know what is my entire system designed like, and what is its importance and its utility. Utility is the wrong word. I mean, you know what I'm trying to say. So, for a lack of a better word, but I hear you. Yeah, I think it's also a beautiful place to be. The validation that one seeks about whether I'm needed or not, or what is my role in this world or in this relationship, can be addressed when you have these tools within you and know your own archetypes and where you can pull out those archetypes to apply, right?
Yeah. And like you mentioned, like the actualization, right? Actualization or maintaining that state, because that's the main issue. That's what happens because the world is completely designed to take us away from even that realization you've had for yourself and what you want to do in the world, because it's very difficult. It's very structured already. So it's difficult. So the work, once you're able to understand, like nine steps to nothing, is the kind of work where you reach a level of absolute ground zero. There's no way you can reach there unless until you're actually worked on really the relationships and the real letting go that is needed to be done without, your fight going beyond your fears, basically. Then is the whole necessity or requirement of being consistent with this, because you have tapped into a whole new dimension of the self. And now, yes, you need little structure and consistency throughout so that you are, you have that space to allow your own, thoughts, your own what you want to create in life, everything to kind of set in. So Nine Nights of the Goddess and some workshops of us which we do allows that, because every individual is unique and they are experiencing this in a different way. So it holds that space, it holds that space of unlearning consistently, being present, because through this work you're being present all the time. So naturally, you're tuning yourself more into being more conscious throughout.
So, my effort to understand through this conversation was if there is a way for us, let's say I come to you today and say, hey man, I love the idea of seeking. I want to start on a seeking journey. I've listened to you guys speak with Shashi, and tell me where should I begin, right? What would you tell me? Where would you get me to start?
You asking me like directly? Because yeah,
Whoever,
I
both
mean,
of you can
it's
take a shot at it.
yeah, yeah. So like I said, okay, like Shashi, like Shashi is right now, he's explored some things in life and you have reached a particular place of understanding. Yeah. So
No,
what
I
I
don't have that
would,
understanding yet.
no, okay, fine. Okay, you're, okay, all right.
I'm
So
this
it's
guy who's
complete,
just drinking in the bar every 6 days in a week, and I have no idea what's happening in this world or inside of me.
and no experience of any,
Nothing.
no
I
questioning,
just
nothing.
know that there are these thing that's happening called Unalome Project, and a friend asked me to go talk to them, and I'm here coming and talking to you.
I think a basic place to start off is the questioning. So you start to really question what's going on, and it doesn't matter unulome or not unulome. You start to question what's going on, what's your life about, what are the patterns that you see. Whenever you need to crack a code, you need to start to identify patterns. Yeah.
Can you
So
help me see my patterns?
yes, we can guide you in the inquiry.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I
Yes,
mean.
yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's the role we play.
So
So
now this role that you play in guiding people through this inquiry, um, I mean, it's just a question. It is not any. It's not nothing more than that. I mean, I'm guessing. I don't know whatever the number is that you guys have touched. You might have touched 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 people. I don't know how many people you guys have touched. But do you think you have now come to a place where, with the help of technology or whatever else that it is, you can, let's say, take that number and achieve exponential growth? You can touch more number of people by using some other efficient ways of scaling things. Is it possible?
I guess it's possible, but again, Shashi, I think it comes down to the will of the person, the individual, right? It
Absolutely.
finally comes down to that. And
I'm
if
only
people,
talking about one
yes,
side of the story right now.
yes,
Obviously, the other
reaching more
part,
people, definitely, yes, technology can help.
obviously the willing has to be there. I mean, the
Yes,
willing
yes,
is also, I believe that there is willingness, but the willingness is distributed in different geographical sort of locations,
yes,
which is becoming difficult to touch, though there are some good solutions for some problems, because most of the community that is doing this work is trying to keep it offline, right? Or has not yet adopted technology in a way it could be adopted. I don't know which of it is true. That is the research that I'm on right now. So, if we can address these people in an efficient way, right? because the willingness is already there. It's about trying to put the information out, and then the ones who are wanting and looking and seeking for it
Yes.
will find it.
Yes.
That's how the system works,
Yes.
anyways, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I mean that's the thing that I'm
Yeah, I think
particularly
some of it
interested.
we did touch on last time. Yes, that's been a challenge for us, and we've been, trying to navigate it in various ways, and we're evolving. So we do find that every rejection is one step closer to, what we need to get to. But yes, it is a challenge because there is a lot of noise. Yeah, so cutting through that noise and reaching people without having, $1 million in budgets to put out into, social media and stuff, it is challenging. Yes.
Yeah, and I think it's been a personal experience of my own because of lack of self awareness, my own potential, which I deep from within know or knew was quite something, but then I couldn't entirely in time realize it when I was trying out different things in my life then because something in the way, right? Um, I feel like it could be a good time to create some new ways of looking at this and hopefully take maybe who knows 1,000 people along with us on this journey of solving this problem in a systemic way that could touch 1 billion people in a rapid fashion.
Yes.
um, One of the other things that I also see is that today we have very generalized thinkers and gurus, right? Which I love them. I mean, I love most of these gurus. A lot of them have been my gurus as well. But I feel that a certain amount of contextualization of what they are saying is left on me.
Yes.
And by the time
Yeah.
I get to a point of understanding exactly what they are saying to my context, to my experience, might take a long time. See,
Yeah.
the idea then comes is that, okay, we need to democratize teachers in a way,
Yes.
spiritual teachers and guides, right, in a way. Then how do we do that? By providing them different contexts. Like, how do we make gurus that are thinking about physics, gurus that are thinking about not subject matter experts. I'm not talking about subject matter experts. I'm talking about a spiritual guide for a spiritual guide for the avatar of a scientist or a physicist that you play, because right
Yes.
now we don't have consciousness built into every profession. We've got general human consciousness that is being built. How
Right.
do we sort of now bring that down to the professional level through the mask level that we wear to operate within the society is the only way for us to build a bridge between what is on the inside and what is on the outside,
Yes.
right? So I feel like that can only be done efficiently and quickly with the help of technology. Simple
Sure.
technology. It
Yes.
doesn't even have to be big things.
Yes.
Simple, easy to use technology. Because you see, there is already technology creeping into your meditation rooms silently
Yes.
without even
Absolutely.
us having complete understanding of what exactly it means to
Yes.
your your practice, right? How it's
Absolutely.
manipulating your surroundings in a way that you don't know what
Yes.
reality you're getting to see. So all of these are challenges that needs to be solved.
Yes.
So I feel like it's not only about keeping things away, but it's about staying in touch and keeping in pace with the change, and at the same time developing newer versions of consciousness in order for us to function.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, and this has
Yeah.
to be done because, and we are totally on the latest technology. So we are there because that has to be done. The world has changed.
And will
Yeah,
continue to.
and
Yeah.
if you look at Adi Shankaracharya, is doing the same thing. He's bringing the Vedas to the current times, and we have to bring that to the current times as well. That's the only job. Yes,
I agree.
absolutely. Yeah.
I agree. And even when I look back into things like, what Adi Shankaracharya did back in those days, was what was needed, and that is the technology and tools that he had. He was the
Yes.
most awesomest community manager that I
Yes.
know. The guy who could
Absolutely.
organize things in the times where, life threatening situations were happening, but he still organized an army around that time, right?
Yes.
And look, unfortunately, we don't celebrate such people enough because of whatever reasons. I don't want to get political about it, but the space and the container that we are trying to create is to looking at these people from a new point of view,
Yes.
not
Yes.
just
Yeah.
as seers and monks who just wore saffron and sat and meditated, but as people who organize the society to provide change, to create different ways. It's just that in the West people wore lab coats which is colored white, and in this part of the world our scientists wore which was saffron, and there's no difference between the two, right? And that's how I see the world, at least. Guys, This is good. I like this conversation. Thank you so much for making time and sharing with us all of the stuff that you are doing right now. But I know you are already thinking a lot about it. But if there is anywhere I can come in and help you to think about systems ways, product thinking, or looking at what you're doing to even not the 100% of it, but even at least 20, 30, 40% of it, if technology can do, means that your expansion of work and your consciousness itself also sort of quickly grows, right? So yeah, let's keep in touch and see what we can do.
Absolutely, Shashi. And
Yeah, sounds
firstly,
good.
congratulations on the work that you're doing. And I've been seeing consistently, you've been putting up videos. That's
I try.
beautiful.
That's
And
hard,
it's,
man.
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, dude, why am I doing this? But I have to do this. I promised myself that I have to do this. So yeah, this is also disciplining
No,
and
it's amazing.
changing
Yeah.
behavior.
Yeah. So that has to be acknowledged. Awesome. Awesome.
Yes.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Yeah. It takes something. I know it takes something. So,
Yeah, it takes
yes.
a lot. You leave it to me. I want to simply sit in the Himalayas somewhere, buy a motorcycle, just go riding around or something like that. I don't want to. But then, that's not how life is. That's what the mind wants.
Yes. And
Sneha.
yes, absolutely. We are open to, talking more. And this was a beautiful conversation again, like the previous one. And hope we have more. And yeah, so let's talk more about these things because we can really. So, right now, again, off the record in the way that it's all our stuff is being done just by us, right? So the website, the videos, the code cards, everything, we are leveraging technology, so it's not hard work. We're getting smart with these things, but even then there is so much more, there is so
Yeah.
much more. And
This
yeah,
is
so
exactly what I want to address. I keep coming back to this because this is how the world of technology was 20 years back, right? This is how this is the problems that we were solving back in those days, 20 years back. And how do we get people to adopt technology? How do we get people to build technology?
yes,
And building the ecosystem to make that change was the job that I did, and a lot of other people like me did as well. Not a lot, maybe 50 people in this country overall. Now we have a lot, luckily. My job is to taking that knowledge and bringing it to this world, because now we know the playbook,
yes,
we have the tools. It's not that complicated as we think it is. It actually is quite easy.
yes.
So I hope I'll be able to bring that and share it with you
That'd be
guys.
wonderful, Shashi, because for
Yes.
us, we are wondering, we are shooting in the dark, right? So something hits, something doesn't hit. We have no clue what's going on.
But we are
No, I
at it,
appreciate it.
We
Yeah,
don't
we are at
stop
it.
for
We don't
nothing.
stop. Yeah.
We
Guys,
just
listen,
keep
the work that you guys
exploring, making,
do,
learning from those mistakes. Oh, okay, no worries. We'll do this. Now, next time we'll do that. We're not
it
stopping at
takes a
anything.
lot.
But
It takes a
yeah,
lot.
but we do want to be able to reach, because again, when you look at a time frame, we have only this much time on this planet. And yes, we want to connect with larger number of people. We want to be able to provide this anybody, like we mentioned, this particular understanding needs to be right at the basics from educational level. And if not, then at least once someone's an adult and can understand, then take on this learning. So,
Yeah.
because why not? I mean, if every individual can really come up and become who they truly want to be, then that should be the first priority. But yes, we just go with, like I said, that's the intention. But to really reach that audience, yes, that's the work in progress.
Yeah.
And
I
but
think
not
it
with
can
the
be
thing
done.
of that is going to die out or something, okay? Because a human being with intelligence is going to arrive at the same point.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the trust. Yeah.
I think yeah, I know. Let's do this.
Yes.
I'm on this path. We are all on this path in different ways, trying to figure out different things. Let's learn how to collaborate and share with each other what we learned, what we know, and we will get there. I'm
Beautiful.
confident. I'm very, very
Beautiful.
confident.
Yay.
Awesome.
Looking forward.
Have a good weekend, guys.